Hey, how's it going, everybody? Today is an exciting day because we're going to be starting a new series of Swiss design posters based on the TV show Are You Afraid of the Dark? This was one of my favorite shows growing up, and it's still a show that I like to watch every now and then. I know almost every episode by heart, so I kind of know exactly what I'm designing for. But I think this is going to be a really great series in teaching you all of the aspects of Swiss design while also gearing up our creative engines. And we're going to do this completely by the books. We're going to start on paper, then go to the computer. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I think I'm going to start off by just drawing a general outline of what we're doing. And the episode that we're going to be designing for is the very first one, The Tale of the Phantom Cab. So let's just complete our general poster here. This is kind of hard to do when I've got a microphone shoved in my face. Okay, so the point of Swiss design is to make sure that you're communicating your message in the simplest way possible, and we're going to use very basic geometric shapes. And this one is going to be the Phantom Cab, and Frank was the storyteller. This was episode 1, and the air date was August 15th, 1992. And maybe we'll just add in the director, which was Ron Oliver. Okay. All right, so now I got to move that to where you can actually see it. Okay, so this is a story about these two kids that get lost in the woods, and then they get directed to this guy's house. He's very mysterious, and then he tells them about a cab that can come in and pick them up at night. So I'm thinking of just doing like a yellow background here with maybe some squares going on here. And obviously I'd like to figure out a way to make it a little bit different, you know, not just squares for the cab, but maybe something a little bit more unique to the episode itself. So I'm just going to kind of play around here and just kind of throw down some things and just see what we can do. Normally I would do some kind of a random pattern going on here with, you know, these blocks going on, but I actually like the idea of it, you know, being like a perfect pattern here. And what I might do here is maybe once we get past the first 3 squares, maybe they progressively get further away from each other. So we've got this one column here, and then the next one can be 2 columns going away. And this can kind of help to signal maybe the driver losing control, because that's what happened to him, and you know, he ended up crashing into a tree. Sorry for anybody who hasn't seen the episode. It's been out for more than 30 years now, so you have no excuses. And then I like the idea, so we've got 2 columns here, and then 1, 2, 3. I might see once we actually get onto laying out all of these elements and everything, if I can do something like this and still have it be mathematically precise, where it's just kind of going off to the side, going off the edge of the poster. And maybe around up here, we'll do, you know, the title. Helvetica, of course, is going to look a lot better than my scribbling. And then this will be probably, you know, we'll do probably 120 points up here. And then maybe down here at the bottom, we'll do like storyteller Frank, episode 1, August 15th, 1992. And maybe the director, Ron Oliver, right here. So I think that 4 going across is probably going to be a good amount of information here. We don't want to overcrowd the poster too much. And really, we just want this poster to kind of give an idea of the episode, to communicate it in a clear way. And since in the planning stages, at least, we have 2 text areas that we're going to be working with. So down here in this area, if we use our formula from our Design Swiss formula video, then the size of all of these will be 36 points, which is 30% of our heading. All right, so we have like a general idea here. This is a very rough sketch of what we're going to be putting together. So let's take this idea and let's go ahead and jump into Illustrator and start laying down some elements. All right, so my size here is 18 by 24 inches, and we are going to go ahead and make sure that our document color mode is set to RGB, because this is not going to be going to any type of print press or anything. And here's my Swiss grid that I put together, and if you haven't seen the video of how to build this, then there it is right up there. All right, so let's select everything here, and let's go ahead and go to View, Guide, and Lock Guides. And let's go ahead and just start laying down some elements. I always recommend starting off in black and white, and that way you can go in and color everything after you've got your general layout down. So I want this square to come in probably right there at that first stop of the grid. And we'll make this probably 3 inches evenly. That sounds pretty good. And what we want to do is we want this to be kind of in the middle of the page here vertically, but not dead center. This would be dead center. We want this to be a little bit off so that it's optically more interesting. And then I'm just going to duplicate this down here. And let's do 3 of these that are kind of going in a perfect area here. And what we're going to do is we're going to lay all of these squares down exactly as we want them to go, and then we're going to scale them in according to our guides. So this fourth one right here, I want this to come down perfectly right here, and then we're going to push it away by probably half an inch or so. That looks good. And we want to communicate the idea of like a runaway cab or a cab getting away. So since we pushed the fourth one out by half an inch, we'll push the fifth one out by 1 inch. And we can just keep doubling the number there. And I think this might be the last one that we do, so we'll just push it out 2 inches. Maybe we'll do one more and then push it out 4 inches. So that way it really shows that it's getting away. All right, so now we'll select all of them and bring them into here and scale it to this guide. Sometimes you gotta zoom way in to get exactly where you want it to go. All right, that's good. All right, so now I'm gonna go to my Pathfinder, make sure all of those squares are selected, and click on Unite. And that's just gonna unite it all as one shape. And now we can just kind of play around with where we want this to go exactly. Let's go ahead and get kind of an at-a-glance view of the poster. I think the placement of that is a little bit high, so I'm going to anchor them probably to the top of this guide right here, because we don't want it to be exactly dead center. That's just not very interesting. So I think we'll do something like that, where we align these squares to that top grid line right there. All right, that's looking good. All right, now let's go ahead and type out our main heading, and I want to put this on 2 different lines. And the font that I'm using is Helvetica Neue. And we'll try this at 120 points and just kind of see how we like it. When you're putting together a Swiss design poster, don't ever rely just on optical kerning. Go in and make sure that you're kerning everything manually there. Because true Swiss design kerning is a little bit tighter than what you would normally see now. So if our goal is to make this look like an authentic Swiss design, then you want to make sure that your kerning matches all of the classic Swiss design posters. It's just good design practice. Okay, so as far as the leading goes, or the line height, you want to make sure that you've got some level of consistency going on. So what I generally like to do is enter the font size and then multiply that by 95%. So you can just type that right into your leading field right there, and Illustrator will do the math for you. So just hit enter and just kind of brings it up a little bit, but not too much. It gives you a really good amount of spacing in between those 2 lines. And then I may just kind of play around with this a little bit. I actually really like that a lot better. All right, so our sizing is good right here, and I don't know what's going on with that font, but we need to align this to that grid line right there. And precision is very important when it comes to Swiss design. Precision's important when it comes to any design, but especially Swiss design. All right, so now let's copy this down here, and we'll utilize our formula. We're gonna multiply this by 30%, and we'll do the same thing that we did earlier when sizing our main heading. So we're gonna multiply that by 95%, and that gives us the leading for this text down here. And let's go ahead and get everything typed out that we want down here. I'm going to say as told by Frank. And I want everything down here to be on 2 lines. And I'll actually type out the word episode 1. We'll say August 15th, 1992, and directed by Ron Oliver. Okay, so let's anchor this type exactly where we want this to be. We're going to align this to this side right here, because that's technically where you would line up this side of the type, because that A is kind of like a horizontal descender. And we'll do the same thing down here at the bottom. This O is a horizontal descender as well. So we're gonna align this to that E right there. And the baseline right here with this N, because this O is a vertical descender. Some people call it overshooting as well. And we'll align this to here. And we're gonna align the left with this 1. And it looks like we've actually run out of space on here. So generally what I like to do is let's align this to about right here. And now we're going to select all 4 of these and click on distribute spacing. So that's going to give us an even amount of spacing going across while still having our 2 endpoints or bookends aligned to our grid. And if I've never shown you this site before, it's very helpful for choosing Swiss colors. And you can certainly mix and match different colors from these palettes here, but I think that this yellow right here is going to be the closest to like a taxi cab. So we're going to draw this right here. This is going to be our background color, and we'll double click on our fill and then enter that. And we're going to send this to the back. That is looking really cool. I think what I'm going to do here is ungroup all of our squares. I'm going to lock the background layer, and I'm going to add in just a few extra squares here. And we'll have it to where it's just kind of pushing away, you know, top and bottom. And I want to find a universal color that I'm going to be using for the black on all of the posters. And I'll do the same thing for white as well, because I want there to be a consistency across all of these different posters. Okay, so let's select everything here and we'll double click on this and enter this black color in. And I'll bring our saturation all the way down so we have our hue at 40 degrees and our black at 20%. And hit OK. All right, so here is our very first poster in our series of Are You Afraid of the Dark Swiss Design posters. This was really fun to put together. I'm looking forward to designing the rest of them with you. The next one will be The Tale of Laughing in the Dark, and that one's a classic. All right, well, thank you so much for following along with me today. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe, and click the bell for notifications to be notified of all future videos. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.